All right, so I have this person that I'm working with, and they basically want me to do like all of their stuff for free, right? And build their website, their funnels, their courses, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, this person I have a relationship with from the past, so I'm like, I'll do some stuff. I'm not going to pay for all your stuff, but I'll do some stuff, and I'll even give like some coaching and some consulting. So we have like a weekly call where we gather and we get everything together. And this person is like I'm holding this person accountable. And like when you're teaching or when you're working on a business, you need to be direct. You need direct answers, because it's like, well, how's that going? Well, nothing matters. Like the results matter. This is why I'm very result oriented, right? So I'm asking this person, I'm like, well, what's your progress? And they're like, give me all these reasons and all this basically excuses. And I know things happen. We all have life, right? We all have life. I got 4 kids, I got 3 businesses. Like I got life, I got responsibilities. Things happen. People don't care. They care about the result. So this person's like, well, y'all know my personality is a high D. I'm always talking about my not my personality, but my behavior. So my personality is introverted, right? And DISC is more about behavior, like how you handle business situations, kind of. And I'm a high D, like I'm about the results and I'm detailed. So this person's like, well, you're high D. You didn't used to be like, I've pretty much always been direct. I'm just, quiet. I don't like to talk when it's not necessary to talk. But you can't exist like that in life and business. So I have to speak up. But anyway, I'm talking to this person and he's like, well, when I talk to and I deal with high Ds, they make me feel like some kind of way. Like he's like, I'm like, well, I'm on your side is number one. I want you to understand that I'm on your side, right? And I just need answers. You have to give me direct answers. And he's like, well, I don't know how you do it. Do you treat everyone else like this? And I'm like, yes. Nobody really complains about me, like when I'm working with people. And I said, how come you're the only person that has the complaint, right? This person has been giving me a hard time for a long time. I'm like, how come you're the only person that I experienced this with? And I genuinely want to know. And he's like, well, I can't. And it's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter. The reason why I'm expressing this today is because he's like, well, maybe you should change how you deal with people and your clients and blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I consider that. This is why I'm talking about this, because you have to be careful who you listen to. I'm like, all right, I'll consider that. Maybe I need to make some adjustments, right? Maybe I need to adjust a little bit. And I'm not saying you can't adjust situationally. Like different people will require different strategies or whatnot. But so I keep the high D, right? I keep that high D and that high resistance and that result oriented delivery, because this person, if I let this person will ramble and go and go and go and go and go, and we'll get results that don't matter, right? Nothing matters. So I have to stay stringent and strict in keeping this person accountable to the specific goals and the specific objectives. So this person's like, yeah, you should change. I can't do it. It stresses me out. And I'm like, well, again, 1, I'm on your side. And 2, you're the only one that gives me this feedback like this. So I'm always being considerate. I'm trying to consider and listen and understand. But then, so basically, I guess I'm a bad teacher or a bad coach. And then, we had this call like on the weekends. So later on this week, I got a notification from one of my other colleagues, my other mentors. And he's like, congratulations for winning Instructor of the Year. And I'm like, whoa, I won Instructor of the Year. So I'm like excited. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I won Instructor of the Year. And I was like, send me the information, because I need proof. And then he sent it to me and I'm like, wow, I won Instructor of the Year. So the reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because you have to be careful, right? You have to be careful of who you listen to. So here I am, like, I know I'm not a bad person, right? Here I am about to change my whole delivery and how I teach or whatever for this guy, because he's like, you don't know what you're doing. And then a couple days later, I'm rewarded for Instructor of the Year. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm saying that because what I'm doing is working. And sometimes when you're working and when, people will let their emotions get in the way, right? Like he let his emotions get in the way and said, oh, maybe you should change it because I can't handle it. Okay, you can't handle it. But maybe I'm not the problem in this case, right? Maybe you are the problem, right? And this person is always like, there's always something with this person, and I'm not saying it to be negative, but it's always something. So I'm only bringing this up because you have to be mindful. Like, I'm always telling people, like, be open to feedback. Like, I listen to my coaches, I listen to my mentors, right? Like, when they tell me to do something, I adjust. Like, I'm not one of those people that's going to give a bunch of resistance just because I want to, whatever emotional reason. Like, I do what my coaches and my mentors say because I know they have the best interests in mind. And no, I'm not a sheep or where my personality is missing. It doesn't work that way. I understand the importance of me hiring or listening to this coach. So I do that. Whatever they tell me to do, I do, right? And if I want to change something later, guess what? I change it later. So if this is working, I'm going to try and use that proven method, right? Or use the coach's proven experience. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to have my success, right? And then if I disagree with something during that whole process, guess when I change it? Later, after success. I'm not going to change it and squirm and fight during the coaching. It doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to talk about that. I know I'm ranting, but it matters, and I want you to be very careful, right? Like, you have to be very careful. It's subjective and it's situational, but be careful of the feedback that you're listening to from certain people, right? And you have to be able to discern, which is a little bit tricky, but be open to feedback. And the reason why I mention that is because also, like, I have people and I'm like, well, you should get a coach, or you should do this, or you should do that. And they're like, well, no, I don't, like, and they're all over the place. Like, you should listen to the people that have success or that know what they're talking about, right? So I'm not saying don't listen to anybody, but I'm saying have that discernment, understand when it's time to listen and when it's time not to listen. Right. So that's just a real quick rant that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to express because this guy, right, he's like, you're yelling at me. I'm not yelling at you. I have no reason to yell at you. You're just not doing what you're supposed to do. Make your contribution to the project. Do it. And I don't care about your excuses. I don't care. We don't care. You're affecting the entire team, and we need results. So get those results, and you won't hear a peep out of me. Right. So I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye. I had a major what I consider to be a major accomplishment today, and I've not today, but this month. And I said I would finish a book this month, and I finished it. I actually finished it like 7 days earlier, and I just want to give it like a little background behind the book and while I did it, explaining some stuff. Right, so it's up and it's running. It is on Amazon. It's live, so you can go and you can order a copy from Amazon for $19.95, and it'll be to you in 2 days. Right. One of the things I want to mention, and you'll hear me say this a lot because I have a coach and I have a mentor, and our theme is version 1 is better than version none. Right? And that means, like, you need to get something out, right? It's never going to be perfect, or if it's going to be perfect, you need to work towards that perfection, right? Don't expect everything to just work immediately or be perfect when you release it. So less than 95% of people that say they want to write a book do it, right? So 5% of people are making it, and it's even less than that. I think it's like 1%. But one of the things about this book is it's not supposed to be, I'm not going to get famous, I'm not going to get rich from this book. The whole objective and the whole purpose of this book is to service my clients and my customers, right? So that's real estate entrepreneurs is who I work with, right? Real estate investors, real estate agents, mortgage people trying to sell real estate courses. Those are the people who I work with, right? And the title of this book is Insider Secrets of Successful Advertising, Lead Generation, and Marketing Implementation for Real Estate Entrepreneurs, right? So that is who I'm servicing. In a majority of the world, they're not real estate entrepreneurs. So this book is not for a majority of the world or a majority of those people. My book is specifically, right, when you're in marketing, for real estate entrepreneurs. That's the whole purpose. And there are, the reason why I did this book is because I'm an instructor. I teach social media, digital marketing, and tech. And there are some common things that come up for people that are trying to implement these things into their business. So this book is to kind of help address those things, right? And there are like, let's go, like there are different chapters. I go over some different things, give some different resources, but we talk about why entrepreneurs fail. We simplify lead generation and marketing. We talk about why you need marketing, why you should implement remarketing and retargeting, a new way to think about your marketing budget, how to implement effective marketing, what you need for marketing, and even hiring out your marketing. These are all things that we talk about and discuss in this book, right? So I'm really excited about this book and this product that I created. And I was telling you earlier, like version 1 is better than version none. And the reason why I'm bringing that up and mentioning that is because if you go, like this is version 1 and I have updated it since, but if you go through this book, you will see all kinds of errors, right? All kinds of errors and mistakes. And like, look, there are mistakes here, and that's okay because I wanted to get something out and I wanted to get a MVP, a minimum viable product, right? So by publishing the book, even with the mistakes, I've done more than 95% of people. I'm big on implementation and taking action, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. So I just wanted to mention that, and I wanted to inform people that my objective is not to sell 1 million copies of these books. My objective is to help service my clients and my customers, and that's real estate entrepreneurs, right? So you can get a version of this by going to Amazon. This is what it looks like. It's blue and white, right? It's got my name on the bottom, Jerome Lewis. You can go to Amazon and get your copy for $19.97. If we have a relationship and we're pretty close, reach out to me and I can work out a way where I can send you a free copy. And I can sign it or anything like that if you want. But yeah, so I'm excited. I have not been this excited to receive anything. I feel, right? I feel really accomplished by establishing this book, right? Easily. My courses, right, will easily sell more than this book. The courses, the services, the websites I do, all of the products and services that we offer, they'll easily bring us more money. But the thing about this book is creating authority, right? So not many people can say they have published a book. And I'm just excited. This is like here live. It's an actual physical product. Is right now, as we currently stand, is up to 200 pages, and it'll probably get a little bit longer. I'm going to try to cut it down, and then shortly after, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a book on video marketing. So, all right, I'm getting tight on time. I have a client at 10 o'clock, but I just wanted to pop on and share my experience and talk about why I published this book. So, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye bye. All right, so I just wanted to pump on and share an update, right? So I finished the major editing for the book. It's all done. So that means I want to order more copies. I'm probably going to order about 100 copies and start sending them out to people that ordered. And so you're going to get a book, right? You're going to get that. Let's see, how's it looking? I'm so proud of this book. You're going to get that book. Then we got some reports in here. So I have 11 social media mistakes that are killing your real estate business. And in here, I'm going to go over just the common mistakes that I see for most real estate people, right? When you're in real estate, these are some of the common mistakes that they make. And I'm going to go down the list. One is no social media strategy, right? So you don't have a strategy or a plan at all. That is one of the most common things I see. People, they get out and they wing it and they expect all these sales and all this great business, and business just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So number two is they don't engage. So people, I guess, I don't know, some celebrity complex or something like that, but they don't engage and they take too long to respond to users, right? So you're on social media, you know, we're all spoiled and entitled these days, so we want immediate answers, right? So not engaging with others, not responding fast enough, that's a major mistake that people make. I want to plug our product. So we have a product, we have a CRM and a software where you can respond to all messages across most major platforms. So if you go directly in our CRM, you can reply to your Facebook messages, you can reply to your Instagram messages, you can reply to your email, your text messages. Just about any major platform that you're on, you can reply right there in one central location using our software. So we got some cool stuff inside of that CRM. Next is people don't post. They don't post often enough, right? They don't post consistently. They post once in a while. And if you're a customer or consumer, would you trust somebody that's inconsistent with, you know, running their business? I had this woman that I'm working with, and she's like, I can do it. When it's time to do it, I'll do it. And nobody wants to believe that. People don't believe what you say. They believe what you do. So that's number three. Number four is they don't have like a public profile. So that's an issue. That's an error too, right? You're responding and you're reacting maybe, right? And then someone goes to click on your profile to find out more about you, like your storefront or your business. And it's private. It's locked down. So that's like you having a business, right? You having a brick and mortar business, but you close it down during operating hours. It just doesn't make sense. Number five is not having a business profile. So if you want to conduct business, have a business profile. And not just because you want to conduct business, but also because when you create business profiles, they give you business features, right? It gives you more capability. It lets you track. It lets you tap into the analytics. It lets you advertise, like legitimately and officially advertise and do things that are important, things that matter to businesses, right? So a lot of times we use social media as just on just the front end, and we're thinking all about us and posting and jumping around. This doesn't work that way. Incomplete personal profiles, incomplete business profiles. Self-explanatory. If you're in business, fill out all your information. It doesn't take that long. If you're going to be a legit business, make sure all your stuff is filled out. Take that time to do that, or hire your kids or something like that so they can fill out the profile, right? Because if I see a profile that's not complete, I don't trust it. 7 is hiding behind brands and logos. And this one has a lot to do with personal confidence, in my experience, right? People are not confident enough to show their faces, be on camera, just common stuff. And if you're not confident, what makes you think someone else is going to have confidence in you, right? So business leaders are visible. You can see them. They build trust. They're not hiding behind logos. They're in the forefront. So don't hide behind brands and logos. Number 8, don't be too businessy and salesy, right? So especially on social media, you can't be all about business. People want to know who you are personally. They want to connect with humans. People do business with other people. Number 9 is not using video communication, right? So when you're not using video communication, you're losing out on 80% of the internet, right? 80% of consumers prefer video content. And by you just not creating video content, you're missing 80% of those people. You can only focus on and attack the 20%. Then it's like, well, I'm not getting any business because you're not doing the right things. And using video communication is one of those things. If 80% of the people prefer video communication, you should be doing video communication because it's a wider net for you to go after, right? Number 10, too many platforms at once. So you hear the rumors and you hear people say, let me adjust this, right? I'm so proud of this damn thing. You hear the rumors, you hear people say, go be omnipresent, do this, do that. And that is true to an extent, but you can't spread yourself thin early on, right? There is going to be a point where you become a professional, right? Where you become sufficient and capable of being on each platform. But when you're starting out early on and you're just learning and you're trying to get your groove, don't be across too many platforms. And then number 10, not using paid ads. So people don't want to pay. Yes, you can have success without paying. Everything's possible, right? But business owners know that marketing, establishing a budget, they know that those things are important, right? And it's even more important when you're trying to scale, right? So a lot of times we get in business, we start out as individuals and we're running the business as an operator, like we're doing all of the work, right? And that's okay, but that's not like legitimate businesses don't do that. It's not just one person. Legitimate businesses are complex. There are multiple people, multiple processes, multiple systems involved. And one of those systems is marketing, right? Marketing and tech, paid advertising. So if you're going to scale, you have to keep in mind and be considerate that you might want to use some version of paid advertising. So those are 11 common social media mistakes. I will expand upon this as time progresses, but I just wanted to talk about that really quickly. So that's one of the things that you get. And then you also get this report. This is a 20-page report on what you need to know about lead generation, right? So this is included as a bonus for you, just so you can see, what's in here. We talk about lead generation, frustration, elimination, why you should listen to me, lead generation, right? It's only one part of your business. We break that down. Marketing math, right? I love marketing math, right? So I even have a whole presentation on that. People really enjoy that presentation. It's a really valuable presentation. This is a mini version of it. We go into talking about the marketing math and how important that is. The fortune is in a follow-up. So we do a lot of lead generation. We do a lot of marketing, but we don't follow up with our leads. So we go and we talk about the importance of that. And like similar to what we talked about in the 11 social media mistakes. So one of the things about social media is that you can get business fast AF, right? So you can get business fairly quickly on social media. And then at least some next steps in here on what you can do. Like you can come, you can have I can help you get a free marketing plan and, just map out what you're trying to do in your business, right? And I even give you 100% risk-free guarantee, right? Because that's how confident I am on what we do here, right? So those are 3 of the things that you're going to get when you get it. See this envelope. This is the envelope that you're going to get. And I'll show you. It's going to go in there, right? I'm going to put this in here for you like this. And there'll be a couple more surprises. I can't spoil everything, but you will be utterly satisfied when you get your package. So I just wanted to provide an update to those of you that care. The books are on the way. I'm basically finished that process. So I'm really excited. The next steps are I'm going to be developing a newsletter that I will be sending as well. So expect that at your doorstep. And another major thing that I want to do, I'm throwing this out there for accountability because I just like accountability. Accountability is healthy. Accountability is healthy, and I just like to get stuff done. So I don't struggle with setting goals and doing what I need to do. Like I said, I would do that book. I absolutely did the book. I did a book because I said I was going to do it. So my next 2 biggest goals are podcast and newsletter. And they're going to be simultaneous somewhat, the podcast and the newsletter. So I wanted to share that. Those are the next major updates coming out, and it should bring you a lot of value to your business as a real estate entrepreneur. So I don't have anything else. I just wanted to pop on. I want to try to use YouTube Live a little bit more often. So hopefully, we get some traction doing that. But those are my updates. Books are coming. Everything that you need will be in there. The book, reports, extras, bonuses, it's all in there. And then we will keep expanding it and we'll kind of go from there. So I appreciate the little bit of people that's watching. And I will see you next time, or I'll see you around. Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome to the Remarketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I am your host for today. The Remarketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk business, tech, and leadership for real estate entrepreneurs. Today, my screen work. Our two purposes. We have two purposes on the Remarketing Podcast. Number one, to spotlight you, Nate, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. Purpose number two, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. All right, so today we have Nate Jones. Nate Jones is the co-founder, head of innovation, and past CEO of Structurally. Under his 4 years as CEO, Structurally experienced 10x growth in conversations processed in the real estate industry and built a proprietary conversational AI application that 99.9% of consumers believe was human. Structurally has also become a Housing Wire real estate tech top 100 company and grew to a team of 26 employees. Nate, I am excited to have you here because I love me some technology and I also love real estate. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jerome.
Absolutely. So I have a few questions for you, and this one is going to be a little bit more technical, and we might even do some demos today. The first question that I would like to start off with is I'm going to ask you to tell us what you do professionally in your own words.
Yeah, so I would say that I professionally help people qualify and convert leads. So we do that through technology. So we kind of started, I always like to give the little background on Structurally. We started kind of talking to real estate agents in college. Myself and my co-founder, we spoke to about 100 of them over time and decided that lead follow-up was a problem that kept coming up. We set out to solve that with technology. Not a human call center. Human call centers have kind of been around for a long time. We believed that tech was in a spot that it could do all of the same things that humans could, and we set out to solve the lead conversion and follow-up problem with technology. So every day I get up and I try and make sales people more efficient, basically.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And like, I've written a book myself, and the book is called Remarketing. It's called Real Estate Marketing. And one of the top chapters in that book that inspired the book is like remarketing, following up. It's the importance of following up, because I've realized that was a huge error that we're making as real estate professionals. It's not just real estate, it's across all industries, which I'm sure you know. So I'm excited today, and I would like to get into, I want to hear about the software and the software that you have. So you have like an AI software, but I want to get down to some like basics, right? So I understand AI, you understand AI, we're tech people, but I want to talk about it in a way that everybody can understand it. So the way that I would like to do that is I would like to for you to tell us what AI is. What does it mean? What does it stand for? And let's proceed.
Yeah, great question. I always love to cover this too, because one of my goals is to kind of dispel the myths around AI as well. So I'll make one caveat here. My favorite definition of AI comes from our machine learning engineer, who is a co-PhD in math and stats and studied computational theory. So it sounds like he's very smart, and he is, but he put it in a really simple terms. And he believes that AI is simply the tasks, a computer performing the tasks that a human historically has done. So it's essentially anything that a human has historically done. There's a lot of different avenues of AI. There's predictive analytics, one that probably in real estate you'd most be familiar with. There is the Zillow's estimate, or any automated valuation model. That's a form of AI in predictive analytics. You're predicting the price of a property, for example. There's computer vision, telling a computer to pick out certain things from an image, or picture. Then there's natural language processing, which is where we focus for conversational AI. We're trying to understand and interpret all the things that people are, in our case, writing to us in messages over text and email, and deliver some sort of high quality conversation back to them by understanding the intents, the context, kind of everything that's going on in a conversation. So there's a whole bunch of different avenues under AI. I think it's the biggest, broadest term. And like I said, it's really a computer doing the tasks that historically a human has done.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate that. And one of the things that you'll always hear me say is that, like, we humans, like, we're a bit irrational, and to be honest, we should not be doing the things that computers should do. If a computer should do it, if a computer could do it, we should not be doing it. I always say that. And one of the things that people, oh my God, you should. Say that is like jobs, like computer take jobs. So they take jobs, but it allows us as humans to be able to go be more creative and work on the things that we're good at. So I'm a huge proponent of technology, and even though it may eliminate some jobs, it allows us room to grow and create. So
yeah, that's
all right.
That is exactly right, for sure. If I can touch on that too, that's something that we get asked a lot. Like, what is the future of AI? Why is it going to take my job? Like, no, we kind of started structurally. And we thought, hey, maybe our product could replace an inside sales agent, because it kind of does the same thing, follow up and qualify leads. And we quickly found that that's not the case at all. Our product augments the role of an inside sales agent. And that's what a lot of people believe is actually the future of AI. Just like you said, Jerome, it's going to make it will augment jobs. There are some that could be entirely automated out. You think of like the Gigafactory and stuff in Tesla's case, where their entire line is essentially robots putting it together. But people still have to watch those robots, make sure they work, check them. And in our case, it's a little less aggressive, but we're making the roles of inside sales agents easier. Instead of making 500 dials a day, hearing no or get lost 498 times, we do that. And then they get to call happy leads, who are a lot more willing and receptive to actually have a conversation, and it makes their life easier too. It's not here to replace them, it's here to make them happier and focus on more creative work, like you mentioned.
All right. So you mentioned two things that I would like to get a little bit of clarity on. Like, we have ISA, which is inside sales agent. Could you define that for us and talk about their role?
Yeah, so it's essentially someone who's following up with leads and qualifying leads, text, phone, email, what have you. Their job is to take all those leads that you're buying or generating and turn them into appointments, or in some cases maybe deals, or a little bit further than that. Usually appointments. And what I always like to say is, if you don't have an ISA, that's okay. That's usually a little later step in terms of your hiring process. You can definitely hire one really early, and I suggest doing so. But if you don't have an ISA, you are the ISA. You're responding to all the leads. You're chasing all those leads. You're following up and converting them. Because if you're not, then you're just throwing a bunch of money at leads to go die. And that makes no sense. So that is really where we've seen a lot of fit with our product, is helping ISAs be more productive. Or if in the case you don't have an ISA, that can really, our product can at least kind of be your temporary ISA until you might hire a real one.
Awesome. And you also mentioned augment. Could you tell us what you mean by the software helping the artificial intelligence helping augment what our current roles are as professionals?
Yeah, for sure. So like I said, kind of in the ISA example, so you as an agent, team leader, brokerage, whatever, would send us leads from your CRM or from where you're generating leads, Facebook, even Zillow, any pay-per-click site. You're automatically sending our product leads. We're chasing those leads automatically with 52 touches over 52 weeks over text and email. And then as soon as that lead replies, we're having a two-way back and forth conversation, qualifying or disqualifying them. That is essentially the role of an ISA too. But with an ISA, they're a lot more manually intensive with those leads. They have call quotas. They may be making 100, 200 calls a day. People aren't answering the phones as much as they have before. And I think that is one area that we augment the role of the ISA, because if that's the truth, if we're saying people are answering the phone less, which is true for the most part, ISAs have shifted more towards texting and emailing to have conversations. That is really hard and tedious to manage. If you think about managing 500 relationships over texting, very difficult to do. And that's the reality of ISAs, is they're trying to manage 500 potentially conversations in their pipeline at all sorts of different stages on their sometimes personal phone. Our product does that for you, for the ISAs. So we just basically surface or bubble up qualified leads and say, hey, ISA or team leader or whatever, whoever's using our product, this is a hot lead. Call them. They've indicated that they want a phone call or they want to meet. We've qualified them. Just make the call. You don't need to worry about, cold calling 500 leads and getting told no a bunch of times. We've already kind of sifted through all those leads for you, so they can ultimately be more productive.
Awesome. And so one of the things that I like to help people understand, it just in technology, and like marketing overall, is the leverage of technology, right? And that means like a lot of times people will see oh my God, that is so expensive, right? Like software or a tool. And then I always like to say, like, to say, think about if you hired like a full person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the price that full person would cost compared to the software. So
yeah,
I don't know exactly what your prices are, but I know it's like a lot cheaper than a human. Could you talk about like that perspective, the software versus the human, like what's more expensive, is it worth it, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. That's a really good point. We actually did a quick little cost analysis on our product versus ISAs. Again, not trying to replace ISAs, just giving you a comparison in terms of how to make their jobs easier. And we found that in order to staff up 24/7, 365, which is kind of the reality of today's world, leads come in at 3 a.m. Leads come in at 11 p.m. on a Friday. They come in on Saturday. If you're not covering all of those times, speed to lead, we've heard about that time and time again, and it's so important. Someone else is going to win that lead over you. So we took a look at how much it would cost to buy structurally versus hire 2 full-time inside sales agents to give you 24/7, 365 coverage. And that's probably being a little nice because you probably would need more than 2 to work all those hours. But in terms of that analysis, we structurally comes in at about 4% of the cost of hiring 2 full-time ISAs.
Wow, that's major. Now I would like to get into some of I want to get into some of the more technical stuff, and not technology per se, but I want to know, I want to explore how the tool works. So one of the first questions that I have for you is ISAs, they do a bunch of stuff. So one of the things that they do is email, text messages, sometimes phone calls. Let me ask you, does the structurally, right, the tool, do you email on behalf of the ISAs and the agents? How does that work?
Yeah, we email and text leads. So we don't think that, email is obviously a less used channel probably in today's world than text, but it's still a relevant channel. People are still checking their emails. It gives you another shot at getting a response. So we cover both text and email. Obviously, we don't call because we're a conversational AI, and we haven't figured out how to make that sound extremely human-like yet. But we still think that because, our belief and kind of the belief of the broader world is messaging is eating the world. We've kind of heard heard in the past that software was eating the world, we've moved to this new paradigm that messaging is eating the world. Everyone is messaging. We're answering phone calls less and less. And less because they're mostly spam. When was the last time you answered a phone call from an unknown number? Probably you might have done so reluctantly and then got on the phone and it was a scam, so you hung up instantly. That is the new reality. And so we want to be everywhere messaging, everywhere where people are messaging. And right now in real estate, mortgage leasing, that's pretty commonly texting and emailing, which is where we are.
Okay. And so you mentioned something about like answering phones, and I'm like in the real estate community, so I see it all the time. People are like, would you answer your damn phones? These are the agents battling back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just have to slow down and think about it. Like, we don't answer our phone these days because there's so much spam, and there's so much spam, there's so much being market to us, so we don't want to answer the phone unless we know who is calling. So
Yeah.
One of the things that I bring that up because I think we forget like sometimes we when we want somebody to answer the phone, we call and we're like, oh, they didn't answer the phone. But when it's the other way around, we don't really empathize. Do you answer your phone or every call either? And even when you do, like, there's a lot of spam and selling involved. So we're very, like you said, reluctant to answer to these phones. And it's just something that I wanted to point out because people seem to forget that. Next, I heard you say that, like earlier, you mentioned like 52 touches. So that kind of leads me into like a follow-up question on like, how long do you follow up with these contacts? Because that's somewhere where we like really drop the ball. And even me, like personally, like I have systems and technology. We have like processes, but sometimes we just drop the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's
our pre-built drip campaigns is what we call them. Touch leads with a email or text 52 times over a year. And you can, most people use our pre-built scripts, but they can be customized so you can be more or less aggressive. But that's what we recommend. We found a really good, we averaged about a 57% engagement rate. So we found that those work pretty well for us. And I think that one of your earlier points is exactly right in terms of leverage and inconsistency of humans. People are notoriously inconsistent, believe it or not. They don't follow up as much as they should, even though they think they do or will. They don't. A computer never ignores those steps. We tell it to touch a lead 52 times. It does it. And I think that's one area where a lot of people kind of start to agree is, yeah, I'm not the best at lead follow-up. I could do better. I'm not terribly consistent. Sometimes I'll chase a lead really hard. Other times I'll just kind of give up after the third attempt. And there is actually studies out there, I think by Salesforce, that say most salespeople give up after the third to sixth attempt, and most deals are actually done or end up getting done after you've chased a lead between the 8th and 12th attempt. So it takes some time to actually get a lead to respond. And most sales people give up before all the necessary steps are taken to get that lead over the finish line.
Awesome. And I appreciate that. I try to like emphasize that stat a lot too. Like what you're talking about is exactly what like I teach. I teach a couple of classes, and I always bring up those stats because people will say, "Oh, this stuff is not working. Leads are trash," and it's like, how many times did you follow up with that person? You can't just post something on social media, hit them once or twice and then say it doesn't work. You have to constantly follow up, and that part is tough. But that's why the people that follow up, that's why they get paid well,
Yep.
And if you could like integrate some kind of software or system to do that for you, you would have a lot of success. And that's why I'm like a huge proponent of social media, because it does that follow up, and it does that those things consistently for you. You don't have to do it. So
Yeah.
Next question I have for you, like I want to know, so we speak English. It's conversational AI. So does it have any other languages that it can touch on and handle?
Yeah. So it can be customized in any language you can think of. Right now, we support English and Spanish. Out of the box, though, meaning we have pre-built scripts for English and Spanish just ready to go for you. The others, if you'd want to customize it in French, for example, you could. You would just have to write those kind of scripts yourself, which you can do entirely through the product.
Okay, and so the AI is like handling all of this stuff for you. Would it be possible that we just jump in and interfere, or is it like, do we have like no control? Could you talk about that process?
Yeah, exactly. You can, with our product directly, we have an agent dashboard and mobile apps, so you can see the conversation happening. You can take over. We call it muting the AI at any time, and you can do that. We also have a bunch of integrations with most of the common CRMs in real estate, mortgage, leasing, where we push our conversations back to the CRM, so you don't have to log into our dashboard. We want you to not learn structurally. We want you to treat it like an assistant that's just living in your CRM, basically. And we have mechanisms in those CRMs that actually let you mute the lead from there as well. It's like you could add a tag, for example, if you're using some CRMs that say like stop AI, and that will stop the AI. So ideally, you're not really ever working in structurally. You're working in your CRM, and the conversations are just happening in a very human-like way, as if you literally had an ISA or assistant doing that job for you out of your CRM.
Awesome. And something I realize and that I always try to drive, but no matter what, people are just people, right? And it's like technology. People are very overwhelmed and scared about technology. And I heard you say that you don't really have to learn structurally. So could you give us your perspective on that? Like, do I have to be tech savvy? Do I have to do it? Is it like hands off? What's the setup process like, etc.?
Yeah, no, not at all. We think it's pretty easy. You'll get onboarded with one of our customer success reps. You will hook into your lead sources, like I mentioned earlier. Whatever ones you want to go to structurally. Maybe you don't want all of them to. And we either do that through integrating with your CRM or directly with lead sources like Zillow, for example, or Facebook. And that's really easy. It's all you need to do. You're off to the races using our pre-built scripts. And we have those scripts built for pretty much every use case imaginable. New leads, new buyers who've inquired about a specific property, maybe forced registration buyers, sellers, renters, investors, land buyers. We have scripts for all of those conversations. We also even have scripts for what we call old leads. Which we see a lot of our customers using us for. They might have a database or CRM of a couple thousand leads that have been sitting there collecting dust, haven't been engaged for a long time. They send them to us, and we actually bring them back to life and qualify them and convert them. Obviously not as as high a rate as those new leads, since they're older. But still, those are leads that a lot of people have kind of given up on. They said, maybe I went after them like 6 times and they didn't respond, and now they're just sitting in my CRM. We get them back to life time and time again, and that's a really easy way that a lot of people start with structurally, is they say, okay, I got these leads. Maybe you would just want to send like 1,000 through to get started. I'll hook up my new leads later. And that's a really, really quick way to get started too.
Awesome. Nate, about how much time do you have? I'm thinking about possibly looking at like a small demo or some examples of what you can do with the software.
Yeah, absolutely. I can switch over to that now if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, I would really appreciate that. Before we do the switch over though, let me ask you one question, right? Say I'm I just heard the podcast, I just heard the interview, I just discovered you. I'm excited, I'm ready to get started. Like how soon could I be up and running in a matter like if it was today and I'm ready today, like how soon would it be? Would it take a week, 2 weeks, a day? What's that process like?
I would say that our most common users can sign up on their own from Structurally's website, get started on their own if they want, all within 30 minutes, 30 minutes max. Now, we always do recommend that you have an onboarding call with our team so you can get a lay of the land, but not necessarily necessary. In order for you to get started. So if you want to go kind of full self-serve, you can get started yourself, hook up your CRM or lead sources, you're off to the races from there.
So we can be up
probably
30 minutes.
Yep, I would say so.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's get in. to the demo, you should have screen share capabilities, and you can show us some of the tool and how it works.
Yeah. All right. Can you see this? Fine.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. I'll stretch it out a little bit more. So this is a conversation with a lead that I kind of mentioned earlier. This is an old lead that one of our customers could not engage. They tried, they failed, they sent it to us. We reached out to them, said, you know, hey, are you just looking around? Are you considering a move in the future? This is one of our most successful kind of famous messages. We send a little nudge message 12 minutes after the lead the lead's first message, or our first message to the lead. That is our highest performing drip message for sure. So if you want to copy it, be my guest, send a little nudge message after 12 minutes of that first message. It says, let me know if I can help, or something like that. Because we see time and time again there that leads respond and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I ignored that first message because I thought it was a computer. And this little nudge message, for some reason, clicks something in their head that's like, oh, this must be a real person. So that's a little fun fact. So you can see we followed up with this lead quite a bit, 7 or so times until maybe a week, then they responded. So they said, just like a lot of leads, they're really busy. busy, 3 to 6 months, so a little objection. They're in the middle of a divorce. It's kind of a big deal. And they'll have a better idea later, maybe. So a lot of AI, a lot of chatbots would kind of just glance over that divorce aspect, right? We said we're so sorry to hear about that. Super important to build empathy in the conversation, and we do that every chance we get. If a lead says they're a veteran, we say thanks for your service. If a lead says they got a new job, congrats. New child, congrats. So we're building a ton of empathy into these conversations, which is why 99.9 believe that they're talking to a human. We're also doing things that we call like mirroring and matching in the conversation. So really easy stuff. They said they're looking here. We said it back to them. And that helps, through texting kind of helps them understand that we're listening, at least. And that, ideally, a human could really be the only thing that could do something like that, but we're not. Human. And the other interesting thing about like this information that we're continuing to ask, 300,000 price range, 3-bed, is all this information is being extracted in real time, and in some cases sent back to the CRM too. So all this information is at least here for you at the glance. The relevant stuff that maybe an ISA could pick up of later on and use to their advantage when they step in. So then From there, we're just asking, primary residence or what type of property are you using the property for? Do you need to sell it before you buy? No, because the husband took the home again. So people tell us some crazy things in these conversations. This one is really tame. Actually, more times than not, we actually hear people's entire life story. People really open up to our product. I think because we frame it as an assistant for you or your team. And when you come in kind of guns blazing as an agent and say so, I think people are a little more tentative. They're like, they're trying to sell me. I don't really want to be pressured yet. With an assistant, whatever, I'll tell you my whole life story, which we see all the time.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so we kind of go into, are you working with a lender? This is a really interesting message too, is shopping is very vague. Lots of chatbots or AI would get kind of tripped up here. Like, what does that mean? Do you have a lender? Don't you have a lender? What do you talking about? So we always like to think of our product as an ATV, whereas most trained most ISAs or other chatbots are a lot like trains. They're kind of sticking into a script. If they say something off script, the lead, there's going to be a train wreck. I'm sure every one of you has probably experienced one of these chatbots that pops up in the right-hand corner. You can only really say 3 things, and if you don't, you break the whole thing. Right? That is not at all what our product does, because these conversations are so important when you're having a conversation about one of the biggest buying decisions of your life. So we don't get tripped up on that. We know that shopping means means they're still looking, and we might want to introduce them to one of our partner agents. We kind of get an idea if they're working with an agent or not. Say that we're going to follow up with one of our team members with a perfect partner agent and tell them we're happy to help, and that's about it. So at that point, whoever's managing this account would actually get a notification because we automatically move this lead into what we call the need agent follow-up stage. So they're getting notifications, bells and whistles saying you have a hot lead, they're expecting a call or follow-up of some kind, go chase them and go close the deal.
Wow. Awesome. That's a lot of steps in there. And yeah, that's just a lot, a conversation to have. And this is like all running in the background. You can't really beat that.
Yep.
I would like to ask you, what is, from your perspective, what's your favorite success story using the software?
Yeah, that is a good question. I really like that demo. But I'll try and think of another one off the top of my head. I like that one because what we actually heard from this partner customer of ours was they tried to reach out to this lead repeatedly with calls and emails and couldn't get a hold of them. Then they sent it to us, and you saw we kind of almost immediately after a week got a reply ourselves. So we see that time and time again, where with that partner client, actually, they saw about a 32% engagement rate before us. And after us, they saw about a 70% engagement or response rate. So that, I think, as a whole is our one of our biggest success stories.
Awesome. So I have some questions here. I want to ask you some of our questions that we normally ask, and I want to know, in your perspective, what's a common myth that people have about artificial intelligence?
I like that question a lot because I always try and bring it up. It's there's no such thing as self-learning AI. I think that's just the common myth. At some point, even though AI seems like it's magic, seems like, oh, it's just making something up on the fly. You told it to do something, it did it, that it's self-learning. Obviously, that is not the case at all. Even if it appears as though it has self-learning capabilities, at some point in its life cycle, long ago, maybe, someone has trained it on a ridiculous amount of data. Even the most advanced natural language processing model to date, which is, I think, called GPT-3, has been trained on the entire internet of words, basically. It scraped all of Wikipedia. It scraped all of the open internet. That data has been input into the model for training. And you can teach it new things, and it appears as though it's self-learning, but it is trained on data that a human has previously sent to it. So there's no such thing, in my opinion, as self-learning. It's always been trained by humans at some point.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have another question for you. Let me see. So if somebody's like creeped out, right? I know a lot of people were there like creeped out about artificial intelligence. If you could recommend maybe books, but if there are 3 resources that you could recommend for them to kind of, quell their fears about AI, what would they be?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. I would say one of the areas that I like to at least understand from a research perspective. Well, there's kind of 2 that I pay a lot of attention to. It's one, the Allen Institute of Artificial Intelligence, and that's a very technical one, understanding like the absolute bleeding edge of where AI is today. If you're super into the nerdy aspect of AI, that will tell you what the smartest people in the world are working on in terms of AI. So you don't get too scared of like the sci-fi version, of singularity, where AI is going to be smarter than humans. Not a thing yet. Not going to be for a while, unless the researchers in places like that tell us so. And then another for-profit research center is the company that actually owns that GPT-3 model, which is OpenAI. They're a lot more I would say friendly in terms of like approachability. The AI Allen Institute is very research heavy. OpenAI is actually a former Elon Musk company who now I don't think he has involvement there.